I know it's like abrasive what I'm doing and like very invasive. It comes off a little threatening, but if you approach it with an energy that is not negative, you don't get negative results. Oh, sorry, sir. That happens.
Yo, we're back with another episode of Walkie Talkie. Today we got the homie Cody. Cody, what's up?
What's up?
Can you introduce yourself, tell people who you are and how long you've been shooting street?
Yeah, my name is Cody Cutter. I've been photographing in New York City specifically since 2017. I actually was living in Jersey at the time when I actually started in 2017, so moved here end of 2018 and haven't stopped shooting since.
Where are we shooting today?
We're in Midtown, lovely old Midtown, going up 5th, 6th, some Madison Ave. Yeah, hitting all the main arteries here.
Cool, let's go.
All right.
What is it that you like about Midtown? You said the energy, but what can you describe that energy?
Yeah, people have places to be here. Everyone's on a time crunch here. Everyone's has a destination. They have to get from A to B, and I love that. I mean, they're focused and they're adamant about where they need to be, and most of the time they're running late. So there's a bit of a, they're walking at a pace that's not their normal pace, and I love the buildings here. When I first started photographing in the street, I was shooting everything vertical because I wanted to show the height of the buildings, and I would get low and like shoot from my hip, and I wouldn't use flash. But yeah, I really love the height of the buildings and how small we are, and I always tried to portray that a little bit in the photos.
You mentioned when you first started, you didn't use flash, but now you strictly use flash on the street.
Yeah, it's been about 3 years of using flash every time I come out. I mean, there are moments that I see that are, it's like just too beautiful not to take advantage of. So there are moments where I will turn the flash off and adjust my settings to that. I just feel like the flash adds an element that I was kind of missing.
What would you say got you into it?
It's a good question. I don't actually know. I think I just wanted to change things up out here. I feel like I was getting a little bored of coming out here without that intensity that the flash kind of brings, without that energy. The shutter drags a little bit with the flash and a little bit more movement. I think that's really what it was just changing it up. I mean, I even bring out medium format cameras sometimes to change things up and try and keep things fresh. I always revert back to this though,
What are we shooting with?
It's an M6 with an Elmer 28 2.8. The street photography starter kit.
What flash is that?
This is the SF20. Yeah.
It's manual flash?
You can go manual. Sometimes I go manual. This is a TTL Leica, so I do have that luxury of just kind of popping it on and firing away. I can't use this on my camera because I broke the hot shoe mount, so it only works with the cord.
Is that the reason for the cord, or do you like the off-camera flash? You prefer it?
I do like the off-camera flash. I like being able to kind of come out wide and give the light a bit more shape, almost like as if, like studio lighting. I work in the studio a lot, assisting and also photographing my own stuff. So I have a lot of training in that. Yeah, I just like I like being able to go here or here, depending on what's happening. The cord sometimes can be a bit much though. I feel like, when I do go a little bit wider, it tends to be a little theatrical sometimes. I mean, I'm not a small person either. So if there's a moment that's happening between people or just within an individual, it can sometimes disrupt.
I know you shoot a lot during the day, like midday, bright sun. Does that get challenging with the gear that you're using, knowing that the sync speed with the Leica specifically is so slow?
Yeah, it definitely does. There's some limitations that comes with using this, especially, I shoot mainly for the last 3 years with flash. I've been pairing it with Ektachrome 100, which is slide film. So with the slow shutter speed, you're limited, but I like the limitations. I feel like it keeps my work consistent, which is always something I'm striving to do. But there are moments where I'm like, I don't know if I can make that photograph with the tools I have in my hand, which those are the moments that kind of keep you up at night or make you question what you're doing. But I always feel best when I'm with these two things paired together, or three things paired together with the slide film. But I love the punchiness of Ektachrome 100, especially with using flash during the daytime, because I have to live in the shadows. Like my main thing is to always be in the shadows with the buildings across the street lit.
When it comes to subject matter, do you know what you're looking for? What catches your eye?
No, I've been asked that before, and I don't know how to articulate what I'm drawn to. There's like, I'm kind of drawn to, I think, boring things sometimes, like the mundane of an everyday person. Because I'm an everyday person. I'm, boring, I guess. I'm really drawn to people that I feel like have lived here for a long time. They feel kind of weathered in a way. I love old people. They've lived the most life, obviously, so they like exude this type of knowingness of the world, and maybe they're a little jaded. Kids, if you feel kids are a touchy subject. I mean, they're so youthful and obviously and like so fun. They're always doing crazy stuff, but there's a fine line between photographing someone's child, which I think can get a little tricky sometimes. Love dogs. I love some objects. I love details. I'm big on suitcases, like business suitcases, because they're so rare, and I have a little folder of a bunch of those going right now. And sometimes I don't know what I'm interested in. I mean, there's moments where I come out here and I'm like, haven't taken a photograph for an hour, and I'll just take a photograph just to take a photograph, just to get a rep in, and something comes back and I'm like, oh, like that was just like a rep photograph. And it turns out to be something I enjoy.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
So last fall, I released this hoodie, this You Are Being Photographed hoodie, and a lot of you guys picked one up. It's been so sick to see you guys out in the wild, repping the hoodie while you guys are out shooting. But ever since then, I've been getting messages and DMs asking if I would make this same design as a t-shirt for the summer. So here it is. The same design is now up for pre-order as a t-shirt. You can find all of the details and information in the link below. Just like the hoodies, the run is going to be limited, so if you want one, pre-order one. Seriously, I appreciate all the support, whether that's buying this t-shirt, if you bought the hoodie, if you bought a zine, or even if it's just watching this video, liking this video, or sharing it. I appreciate all of it. Claim your shirt today, and let's get back to this video. Yeah, how often are you getting negative reactions to how you photograph?
Not as much as one would think. I mean, of course it's happened. I've been kicked and punched and spit on and yelled at, fingers in my face, pushed. But I don't know, if you come at it with I know it's like abrasive what I'm doing and like very invasive. And I'm not small, I'm a tall, like, male, and I think it comes off a little threatening, but if you approach it with an energy that is not negative, you don't get negative results. What's your go-to diffuser when you sense the energy start to go the wrong way? I don't know if I have a go-to. I think it's situational. I depends on how they approach me first. If I have to defend myself, then I'm like, backing up or like, but you always try to diffuse the situation no matter what. I don't know if I have a go-to. It's always situational. Ultimately, I always just end up trying to explain to them what I'm doing. And sometimes they don't care at all. And they're still upset about it. And sometimes it kind of like calms them down a little bit. And I've had moments where I've taken photographs and they've been really upset, and then I explain to them what I'm doing and they want the photo, and I email them, and then there's like a conversation that happens after the photo, and even though there was a conversation between the two of us while taking the photo, so all of it's a conversation. We're all out here like woven together in this fabric of New York City, and it's exciting to be able to photograph it. But I do understand, and especially with social media and everyone has cameras on their phones, and I feel like people are hyper aware of cameras now. which I think people tend to have their guard up a bit more, especially when their photographs are being taken by strangers.
Hey, where's food from at, dude?
Somebody watching this and seeing you photograph might think you're not composing or you're not thinking about composing, you're just doing snapshots. What do you think about that kind of stuff when it comes to composition?
I think they have every right to think that. You know, I do try to always look through the viewfinder. So I am composing, even though it's quick. But I really love to isolate subjects. You know, I like to focus in on one subject. It's like a game to me here because these streets are so packed all the time, and to pick someone out and to really isolate them and to have that kind of come across in the photograph, for me it feels really, really beautiful, and that's really my goal. It's more of a study of an individual as opposed to all these moments happening between all these people on the street. I mean, I do love a good moment, like, don't get me wrong. But I think I love the individual more. Yeah. I think another thing is, like, people who see this type of photography or shoot differently than I do don't think that people like me photograph with intention, and I couldn't disagree more. I mean, I think there's nothing but intention in my photographs. I mean, I'm putting myself out there in a way that not a lot of people do. And just because it's fast or quick doesn't mean that there's not intention behind it at all.
Cody, everybody wants to know, how do you make money off of street photography?
You don't. You do it out of sheer passion to make photographs.
But you are a full-time photographer.
Yeah, I mean, I work in the industry full time. I still assist other photographers, and I do photograph some jobs, some commercial jobs myself. The plan is to shoot more for myself commercially, but this is really where my heart lives, out here, making this work for sure. Man, the dream one day would to be coming out here every day, 5 days a week, and somebody cutting you a paycheck. But I don't know, and then again, it might just end up feeling like work. And that's the beauty of it. Like, because you don't get paid doing this, it doesn't feel like work. Who was it, Bill Cunningham, who never took a dollar from anybody, even though he worked for the Sunday Times? I think it was the Sunday Times. He did all that stuff for free. Didn't he say, once they give you money, once they pay you, they own you or something? It was similar to something around there. I think there's some truth to that. Thank you, sir. That was one of those moments where I was clearly invasive, but it wasn't, I'm not like protruding this negativity or this like, it's like gotcha moment. Like, I took the photograph, we made eye contact, I said thank you, you know. It's like, it doesn't always have to be this aggressive approach, or it never should be. I mean, it's like, just trying to make a photograph. It's that simple.
You mentioned earlier that you work full-time in the industry. A lot of it, or at least a big chunk of it up until now, was working with a famous music photographer. Can you talk about that relationship, how that got started, and how that's kind of taught, what it's taught you and how it's influenced you?
Yeah, his name is Danny Clinch. I was living in Asbury Park, New Jersey, a few years back, and I guess almost 8 years ago. And he had a gallery there, and I found his work, and I was so inspired by its, you know, legendary music stuff. Not just live, but, you know, album covers and portraits. And I walked in there one day, and I basically was like, I'll work for you for free. Like, I just want to be a part of it. He was into it, and he sent me up to a studio in Hell's Kitchen here in New York, and I worked for free for him for like 6 months, and I was doing anything, you know, painting walls or whatever, anything. And right place, right time. I had no experience as an assistant, and his first had left, and he ended up offering me the job, and I was really just kind of thrown into the wolves. I didn't know anything, and he took a chance on me, and I took a chance by taking the position, and I learned so much. I was actually in school at the time. I had about a year left, and he had offered me the job, so I ended up not finishing my degree because I figured I would learn so much more in the industry and on the day-to-day at the studio than I would be sitting in a classroom. And I think I was right. It was such an incredible experience. And I still work with them from time to time now, and it's still such an incredible experience. Very fortunate, very lucky. Just, I mean, it was like street photography, like right place, right time. I mean, as much as there's talent in what we do and we know what we want and we're out here trying to find what interests us, a lot of it has to do with luck. But sometimes you create your own luck, right? The more you're out here, the luckier you get, I think. That's how I feel. Because if you're sitting home, you're not here, you're missing it.
So how did you gain the confidence to be where you're at now in terms of flash photography?
I think it was just getting comfortable out on the street. I tried it when I first started, and I was so sheepish about it, and I put it away and didn't pick it up for 2-3 years, and I just felt like I needed to change up. I wasn't loving my work. I was like tired of the work that I was making. I mean, I still look back on that work and I enjoy it, but like I just feel like it was missing something, and you just have to push yourself sometimes. That's what it was. I like forced myself to do it. I just thought like if I wanted to continue to do this, I have to involve the flash in some way.
So when you first started street photography, who were some of your photographers that influenced you early on?
Early on, I mean, right away when I saw Saul Leiter's work, I was like totally blown away by it. And I came out here looking for that New York, and I remember specifically like looking for it for a long time, like that old New York look, how people dressed. Like I remember being so bummed, and I was so naive about it. I was like so upset that New York didn't exist anymore. Like it was so gone. So he was a big influence of me just, I think shooting color. And Jamie Hawkesworth is a big one. I don't think many people, he's a big fashion photographer now, but he did this story, I think it was his college thesis. And it was a story on a bus station called Preston Bus Station in London. And he would just spend all of his time at this bus station. And it turns out it was actually closing, and he made a book about the images he made. And it ended up saving the bus station. And beautiful work, all hand-printed color, just absolutely incredible. Mary Ellen Mark has always been an influence, a big inspiration. All the stuff she did with the circus people was just amazing. Mark Cohen, a lot of people say, my work is very reflective of Bruce Gilden. Fan Ho, I don't know if people really know about him, the black and white photographer. He's like such a legend. I mean, the surrealist photographer in that way is like so incredible, where you can make reality feel kind of surreal. And his work totally encapsulates that for sure. Oh, and Mike Brody on that book with all the train hoppers, yeah. I saw that early on, and that really rocked my world, that work.
I feel like a lot of the photographers that you just named, if not all of them, especially the bodies of work that you mentioned, they're all like project-based. It's like, I'm photographing this thing for a long period of time.
Yeah.
How do you feel about projects? Are you working on a project? Is this something you think about?
Yeah, I mean, this is a project. I've been doing this for 8 years. And I mean, this is my project. This is my every day that I'm off. When I have time, I'm out here. This is my project for now. This will come to an end eventually. Or maybe this style of shooting is the project, right? And I might switch to a different style of shooting. I might move. I might go live somewhere else for a little while and start a new project. But I don't think, it just has to be project-based. I think images can live on their own.
So
or
those
as
are
a whole.
photographers that were inspiring either throughout or at the beginning. What about recent photographers that have been a big inspiration for you?
Tyler Woodford showed me a book on Trent Park, who I think was who is an Australian photographer, black and white, just so different than anything I've ever seen. Super grainy, super contrasty, just like brilliant subject matter. I just feel like I'm always going back to the ones that made me fall in love with photography. Or it's like a newer fashion photographer that, I find that is like incredible, doing incredible work in that field. But then there's all the people that are out here still, like that's also a huge inspiration, is to seeing people out here doing it and meeting those people and having that community to like push you when you need it. And maybe you get a little jealous when somebody makes an incredible photo and it like fires you up to get out here and go make your own work. I think that's the biggest inspiration, because a lot of the times the people that you're inspired by in those books from decades ago, like that world doesn't exist anymore. The world is completely changed. Street photography has completely changed. And like I said, when I first started trying to find that old New York, like I was devastated when I found out it didn't exist. But I had to make my own New York. And that's what we're out here doing. It's our own story. It's our own interpretation of New York.
How long are your street days usually? If you have like a whole day to shoot during the summertime?
6 to 8 hours. 6 hours? Yeah, try. Yeah, try to be out here as long as I can. Some days it's just 3 hours, and you could get as much done in 3 hours as you could in 6 hours, it just depends on what the day gives you and how motivated you are.
But it's gonna.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Mar, what time you?
It happens.
Any short-term goals or long-term goals?
Goals, would love to produce a book. Would love to have a show, multiple shows. Would love to do multiple books. Those are always, I think, both short-term and long-term. I would love to print more. I feel like, it's difficult to just only put your stuff online, on the internet. Yeah, I think printing is really important. It's the way photography was made. It's where it was supposed to end up. So yeah, I guess short-term goal also with long-term goal would be definitely printing a hell of a lot more.
What is the best advice you've ever received for photography?
Somebody once said to me on a job that I was really stressed out about, it just calmed me down immediately. They're just like, we're not saving lives. And that just kind of took all, really made me take a step back and be like, yeah, what we're doing is important, but it's not life or death. I think that goes back to, you're your own worst critic. You're the hardest on yourself. And we are our thoughts. So if you're thinking poorly about yourself in a moment of being down about your work will portray that. So I think that was really good advice of this is such a luxury. It made me feel like, oh, this is such a luxury that we're doing this. I don't have to go to work and, do hard labor. How lucky am I to be able to do this? Or, I don't have to sit at a desk for 8 to 12 hours a day. And not that there's anything wrong with that if you're into that, but yeah, just we're not saving lives doing this. I still think about that often when I get frustrated or just remember this is art, we're creating something here.
You asked me the other day.
That being said, I think what we're doing out here is extremely important on a more serious note of taking it serious. We're documenting people will look back on this work and they'll see how the world was in the 20s, post-COVID or, pre-COVID. And I think that's important because people get to see New York City through so many people's lenses and eyes and minds. Yeah, I think it's incredibly important. See, that sometimes is the problem. They do tend to get a little startled. It does ruin the photo. And then you kind of feel bad a little bit too.
There's no way around it though.
No, I mean, it's, you know, I feel like if I didn't use flash, especially off camera, it would probably not be as startling, but it's just sometimes it's the name of the game in that way. Love the suit, man. Look great.
Do you ever feel like you miss and then go back for another one?
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely done that. In that situation, I mean, he was like, we've already talked about it, so it's like, and also I try not to do that as much, shooting doubles or everything, because I can't even choose clothes some days to put on my back. God forbid having to make a choice on an image.
All right, Cody, finish the sentence. I take photos because.
I take photos because it's really just such an exciting way to go about your day. To walk around and try to physically or visually and physically put together this puzzle to make a photograph out of it. It's so exciting. Always.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
There was a photographer, Robert Adams. He talks about art. I think it was in a book, Why People Photograph. He said to keep intact an affection of light. And I think I resonate so much with that. Because that's what we're out here doing, is we're out here not only just being a part of life, but capturing it and showing it to people. Showing people what we see and how we see and how we want to be seen. And that's my TED Talk for today. And also, like, what else would we be doing with our time? I feel like it gives a lot of us purpose, and the thought of leaving negatives behind when I'm gone sounds like I'm like obsessed with that thought of having something to leave to my children and grandchildren and whoever else, to be able to see, like, they could look back and see what I've seen and what I've gone through and how I approached certain subjects or certain topics.
Oh, hi.
Love the giraffe.
All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Walkie Talkie. Cody, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Thanks so much, Paulie. Real pleasure being here, man.
Let the people know where they can show you some love.
Instagram, obviously, it's @_Cody Cutter. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you there.
All right, man. Peace.
Now when they see us in the streets, all they